Hello, hello, and welcome to Talking to Food Safety Professionals. My name is Dr. Jennylynd James, and I'm a food safety professional with over 25 years of experience in the industry. And with me today is Dr. Trevor Suslow. Welcome, Dr. Suslow.
No, thank you so much, Jennylynd. My pleasure to join you.
And Dr. Trevor Suslow has over 40 years of experience in the industry. So we're really excited to have him here today. He's a specialist in pre-harvest to post-harvest quality and safety. So, Trevor, please tell me, how did you get started in this field of food safety?
Well, I always share with folks when they do ask, and occasionally it happens that I wasn't where I trained. It wasn't what I was doing, but when I was working in the private sector, and working with an ag biotech company that started in the 80s in Berkeley, California. My formal degree is really in plant pathology. So I was doing pathology and I was developing microbial pesticides and alternatives to synthetic chemicals. That was my passion, working in the rhizosphere microbiology, the foliar microbiology. But as we were developing different specialty fruits and vegetables and starting to roll out with big buyers, and so companies like McDonald's and Pizza Hut and others came to and handed the company, which no longer exists, but handed them food safety specifications.
Oh.
The CEO said, well, you and your lab do the microbiology,
Yes.
you know plants, you have an agriculture background, all this. You go and you take care of this. So there was a time when we were starting to market these little snacking vegetables that we bred. So they were very special. You had to have an outside partner. You couldn't just buy stuff and chop it up. And it was at the earliest days of value added and fresh cut. And kind of went, food safety, it's produce. What's the issue? There's no issue. I mean, because it really wasn't on the radar screen. So long story short, we were having some spoilage and decay issues with our production coming out of Florida in these little bags that had snacking vegetables and it said ready to eat.
Yes.
And they sent me there, and then I went in and I looked around and went, okay, everybody stop. This is unacceptable. This is just wrong. Even I could tell, there weren't the hygienic practices that we needed, especially for something that said ready to eat, especially for something that was going to be a snacking alternative to French fries and McDonald's in 800 plus, outlets.
Yes.
And because of their, so we went there for decay issues, but because of this food safety specifications, we ended up plating it out at the time for Salmonella and Shigella, and it lit up. So I always say they pushed me through the food safety door, locked it, and then lit it out. So that's how I got started dealing with that aspect.
Excellent story. So tell us about the roles that you've held over the years in industry, academia.
Right. So after getting my degree at the University of California, Berkeley, there weren't jobs to apply for, and somebody approached me in the early days of venture capital, investment in developing biotech.
Yes.
In the Bay Area in California, and a lot more money than sense. So I said, as a joke, I joined it, built it from the ground up with a couple of other lead scientists, and it was the most fantastic place, to be honest, that I've ever worked. Young people, exciting, new technology, forefront. Things happened along the way. So it was a wonderful place until it wasn't. And that's when, worked out a separation. And that's how I ended up at the University of California, Davis. Not for the position I interviewed for specifically, I mean, that was posted, but I said, because of what I was already doing, so this is 1995, I said, the industry isn't aware of food safety in fresh produce. But in it, I will bring it with me. I'll make it 10, 15% of my program. And within a year after they hired me, silly them, but it dominated what I did. So, I, went from industry, then back to Berkeley for a little bit as a research fellow, then to Davis. And then I held a career as a statewide extension specialist.
Yes.
So research, extension, outreach, but no formal teaching appointment. That happened later. I'll kind of skip that. But
Okay.
and just working, and the beauty, the joy of working in California is, there's over 360 specialty crops. And so the diversity is there, which I thrive on, the diversity and the center of a lot of what's happening. And of course, over the years, there were more issues with building food safety awareness, starting from scratch with good agricultural practices. The industry started in 1997, really, and then FDA, and then that whole kind of continued. But I stayed with that, for a long time until, again, it was great until it wasn't. And I chose to, I just, I get tired of with, certain things in red tape and bureaucracy that prevent me from doing the job the way I want to do it.
Yes.
And I say I can do something else because I have before. I did an experiment and I joined the Produce Marketing Association.
Oh.
VP of Produce Safety.
Yes, yes.
Not all experiments are successful. So after 2.5 years and then struggling through the limitations that, trade associations had faced during COVID, I decided to separate, go back and start consulting. But, from the beginning, when I left UC Davis, they provided an emeritus faculty appointment for me. And so I maintained those pro bono extension and outreach activities and connectivity with food safety professionals in academia, industry, government.
Okay.
And I continue to enjoy that. So I work with industry a lot. I work with universities. I work with FDA, CDC, trade associations.
Very busy.
Very busy across the US and even globally. So it's just a joy. I'm just so blessed, the kind of career path that I've had available to me.
Excellent. So that leads me to my next question. What are some of the challenges you think facing the industry from a food safety standpoint these days?
Well, there are many, and they're complex and complicated. I'd say there's sort of twofold. One of the biggest challenges is that, with all the effort, with all the investment, with all the, resources applied to food safety, and I'm going to stick within, my area, which is, fruits and vegetables and other specialty crops. You still have incidents. So even with all of that, even with all the auditing and all of the monitoring and all the testing, which has goods and bads about it, but
yes,
so the big challenge is what we call trying to drive out the residual risk and figure out where it's coming from. So that's one big challenge. The other is that once you get below, really the top tier, there's really great, competent, knowledgeable, folks and food safety managers for companies, up and down the scales of production. But really, when you get below the top tier, the resources to accomplish that are limited, but also the knowledge and the real application of risk awareness and risk assessment is not what it needs to be. And I'll just close with saying that one of the things that I do very selectively, but I allow myself to serve as an expert witness in outbreak and other forms of litigation occasionally within this field, because it is for me, it really is a tremendous educational opportunity.
Yes.
Reading depositions, you really understand what the industry knows and what it doesn't know and how they apply it in daily operations. And that's where you can put together either research components or training components to try and lift people up. But that is the real challenge, is that you still see the common errors of, I know how to pass an audit, no offense, but I know how to pass an audit.
Yes.
I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know how to understand. I don't understand, the linkages between the hazards are easy, the risks are much harder, risk priority, risk potential, and risk exposure. And that's where people, kind of fall down. So we have still a challenge to help people understand their own systems.
Yes.
Apply science on site and modify it to their needs.
Yes, yes. Interesting. Thank you. And now we have a lot of students who enter university. They want to know what to study. And even those who are leaving, they want to know where they can use their skills. So do you have any advice for people who are interested in food safety or want to get into the field?
Yeah, I mean, I think one is that depending on what your interests are, whether it's to remain in academia, to go work for government, to, work in the industry, there really are any number of opportunities to become more broadly aware, expand your vision, expand your horizon, and increase your skill set so that you have a value to somebody. But especially if you're going to focus on being in academia, doing research, you help yourself tremendously by going out and talking to those that at least are the presumptive, recipient of the research that you do. So understanding the systems that you're going to work in, one allows you to have opportunities, but also helps you design your research much better. So one of the things for students, if you're interested in food safety as it applies to fruits and vegetables, is to get connected with the Center for Produce Safety. And they have programs for young professional development. They have programs to give you those opportunities to help, make you recognized by industry leaders and by others. And then there's other similar programs, across the board. And if you want to get into industry, again, it's like again, not to say anything negative about the academic world per se, but don't get trapped into thinking that the only positive outcome of what you do is to get a paper and get recognized and get promoted. There's a lot of other opportunities you don't have any clue are out there for you, and be open-minded to taking advantage of opportunities that confront you rather than worrying about staying in your box.
Right. Well, our time is up, but thank you so much for
My pleasure.
today. We learned a lot, and I invite everyone to contact Dr. Suslow. I'll put your contact information in the information box if anyone wants to get additional information. Thank you so much again.
My pleasure, always.
Please hit the like button, like our video, and remember to subscribe to the channel Food Safety Smart so you can be notified every time we interview another amazing food scientist. Hit the subscribe button. Thank you.